be a 10%er, and you can put 10% of your assets into Bitcoin. You can be a BTC maxi and put 80% of your assets and put 80% of your earnings into Bitcoin. You could be a double maxi, and that's when you basically take an extra $250,000 loan against the house. And then the triple maxi is you finance the house for Bitcoin, you buy Bitcoin, you flip all your assets to Bitcoin, and then you move to a cheap tax jurisdiction where you actually can avoid some taxes and invest an extra 50 grand in Bitcoin, maybe a Singapore or UAE.
MicroStrategy creator and executive chairman Michael Saylor presented another super bullish price prediction for Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency by market value, during the Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville on Friday. Bitcoin forecast 2045 bear, base, and bull cases for the dominant cryptocurrency in 21 years. Saylor anticipates Bitcoin's price to rise by at least $4,300 from $68,000 to $3 million per coin. Saylor predicts that Bitcoin's market value will rise 280x to $280 trillion from its present $1.3 trillion market worth if it hits $13 million by 2045, a 19,000 price explosion from current prices. According to the famous business executive and entrepreneur, the global economy struggles because we utilize flawed assets and imperfect mechanisms to hold them. Bitcoin will easily surpass the market valuation of gold and art. Capital Saylor opened lecture by outlining asset classes' useful lives, including equities. He lists Ferraris, real estate, and government bonds as examples of tangible assets that have failed over time. Using King Ranch, one of the oldest ranches in the U.S. with 171 years of history, he explains that entropy is diluting the worth of tens of thousands of other ranches founded in the same period or even before that are gone. Saylor added that war, poverty, and disaster also devalue tangible stores. Over time, all of these issues are inconsequential when investing in Bitcoin, according to Saylor. Bitcoin held with a custodian could have a useful life of up to 1,000 years, and Bitcoin held self-custody could have a useful life of 10,000 years. This is why Saylor remains super bullish on the leading cryptocurrency, which he predicts could reach $49 million per coin.
The $15 million probably lasted a few months fueling the French army. It's gone. Jefferson got that. He got 27% of the United States. It's an 800,000x return. Worth 12 trillion or more. It'll be worth more. Jefferson had some vision, as did this man. Seward pays $7 million for Alaska 2 years after the country's decimated by the Civil War. John D. Rockefeller is trying to start an oil company. Today, there's $1 trillion of oil underneath Alaska. It's a massive return for a piece of paper. How much is digital capital worth? Take the $450 trillion, multiply by 3%. That's your entropy cost or your inflation cost. It costs the world $13.5 billion a year to take all of those parade of horribles when they're trying to preserve their wealth. If you put a 20 P to E on it, like you'd value a company or a long-duration bond, that's worth $270 trillion. So digital capital is worth 10, 20, 15 trillion a year, and it's worth hundreds of trillions of dollars. Reality check. Is he full of BS? Well, digital capital is returning 55% for the past 4 years. Financial capital, the best in the world, is the bond. It's minus 5%. Imagine capitalizing your company or your country on a minus 5% instead of a plus 55%. It's obviously working. And now let's come back to my chart here. Global wealth, we can look at it like this, and we see the little Bitcoin, square in the left corner. But what's happening? Here's my macro Bitcoin forecast. It's 21 years. Goes out to the year 2045. What do I think will happen? Well, I've got a bear case and a bull case, but what I think will happen is that 55% ARR goes to 50%, 45, 40, 35, 30, 25, 20. It's between 50 and 20. It'll gradually decelerate till it's growing about twice as fast as the S&P index. And at that rate, Bitcoin's $13 million a coin in the year 2045. 13 million. It could be a 3 million bear case. It could be a 49 million bull case. But what is Bitcoin? 7% of the world's assets then. What about the rest of the assets? Well, I actually think that AIs and technology are going to revolutionize tech. We had no companies worth $1 trillion. Then we had a bunch of $1 trillion companies. You're going to see more because you're going to see companies with 100,000 AIs and no employees, and they're going to do the work of companies that used to have 100,000 employees. You're going to see mega corps develop, shipping robots and self-driving cars, and a company that gives a personal physician to 1 billion people without any doctors on the payroll. So clearly, equity is going to grow fast. Gold's going to get demonetized. Land will be less monetized. But look, here's the future in 2045. Doesn't look that revolutionary. It looks like today. It's just that Bitcoin is visible on the chart to you. When Bitcoin is visible, that's going to be the base case. Now, what are the implications of this? How do you make money? Well, let's talk about individual Bitcoin strategy. What should you do? Make Bitcoin your primary treasury asset. Convert your excess earnings to Bitcoin. Utilize subsidized credit. If the government will loan you money, borrow the money at cheap rates and buy Bitcoin, and find a tax-efficient way to invest the Bitcoin. What shouldn't you do? Don't quit your day job. Don't lose your focus on Bitcoin. Don't use margin loans and trade with leverage. You get wiped out while you're asleep on a Saturday night. That's not good. Good? 30-year loan for 3% backed by the government on your land. Bad? Overnight 10x leverage. So what's a typical person? Well, we actually model an individual, and we said, what if you had $750,000 in net assets, and you made $200,000 a year, and you're going to make 5% more every year, and you got a savings rate of 25%, and you can invest $50,000 a year.
During his speech, Saylor said that there is $900 trillion worth of wealth stored in physical and financial assets around the world. However, a big chunk of these assets are based on ideas and technology from the 20th century, while only a tiny, barely noticeable chunk are based on 21st century innovations that show real scarcity right now. Bitcoin's market value of $1.3 trillion is only 0.1% of the world's total financial market. Saylor predicts that by 2045, it will have grown to 2% in the worst case, 7% in the best case, and 22% in the best case. Saylor also makes a distinction between the $450 trillion in assets held for use and the $450 trillion in assets held as a long-term capital store of value. He estimates how much it costs the world to hold these assets because fiat currencies are always losing value. Here are some more clips from Saylor's talk.
Well, there's a lot of strategies. You could be the normie and do a normal strategy, diversified portfolio. You can be a 10%er, and you can put 10% of your assets into Bitcoin. You can be a BTC maxi and put 80% of your assets and put 80% of your earnings into Bitcoin. You could be a double maxi, and that's when you basically take an extra $250,000 loan against the house. And then the triple maxi is you finance the house for Bitcoin, you buy Bitcoin, you flip all your assets to Bitcoin, and then you move to a cheap tax jurisdiction where you actually can avoid some taxes and invest an extra $50,000 in Bitcoin, maybe a Singapore or UAE or something. What's the result? Well, this is the result. The normie ends up with $8 million in 21 years. The 10%er will more than double that. The maxi ends up with $100 million. The double maxi, $150. The triple maxi, $214 million. You can see the power of leverage, and the choice is yours. And you can also see, it takes 15.9 Bitcoin to be a triple maxi. You know, 6.25 Bitcoin will make you a wealthy person. Let's talk about corporations. Dues. Convert your capital to BTC. Convert your cash flows to BTC. Issue equity to buy BTC when it's accretive. Issue debt to buy BTC when it's accretive. Don'ts. Don't bleed your capital with taxable dividends. Don't surrender your capital with stock buybacks. Don't dilute your shareholders with risky, overpriced M&A activity.
In other news, Florida-based digital asset technology company Marathon Digital recently announced the purchase of $100 million of Bitcoin and the decision to adopt a full HODL strategy. In a tweet on Thursday, the cryptocurrency mining firm said, "Today we are announcing that Marathon has purchased $100 million worth of BTC, and effective immediately, we are once again adopting a full Fred Thiel, the company's chairman and CEO, said the full HODL strategy shows its faith in Bitcoin's long-term potential. We think Bitcoin is the ideal treasury reserve asset and support sovereign wealth funds holding it." Saylor has reacted to Marathon's news by pushing Thiel to buy more Bitcoin for the mining operation. This is one of many U.S. and international companies using Bitcoin to protect their assets from fiat debasement. Saylor expects many other corporations, including multi-trillion-dollar firms like Microsoft and Apple, to make similar statements as Bitcoin grows more popular. Saylor's $13 million projection for Bitcoin by 2045. Do you agree? Leave a comment below. If you liked this video, subscribe to the channel and set on post alerts for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.